Hello and welcome to TUC0's Talks. Happy Friday. Welcome. All right, so we've been doing this for a while. I'm very excited about the new outcomes that we have. So I had a conversation with Coach Connor Breslin. Hopefully you were able to see that. That came out on Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I have a conversation with Mark Foster, who is with retired Air Force Special Warfare. And these have been incredible. Just being able to think through and talk with and discuss leadership problems that we've had and things that we look forward to and just ideas. It has been invigorating for me, and I've just really enjoyed it. So hopefully you will too. Please look for those on Tuesdays where I will have conversations with others. As for today, we're going to talk a little bit about leaders and give you some principles and guidance. And one of the conversations that I had with another individual, we were talking about leaders versus managers. So I just wanted to answer the question of what's the difference between the two. And so a manager manages programs. A leader leads people. It's not how effective you are. And so I had heard the thought process that a manager was just someone who was leading lower level individuals, and a leader is someone who handles a high level program like a CEO or other things. And I don't believe that's accurate. I think that managers can be exceptional at what they do, and I think leaders can be exceptional at what they do. And you can't have an organization with just leaders. You have to have managers. There are always programs that need to be done and thought through and led through. And so managers are very, very important to developing the programs and making sure that they are run correctly and well. And so hopefully that answers that. And so if you ever hear, oh, this person's a great manager, you won't be thinking they can't lead, but understanding that they do an exceptional job of leading. It's just they lead programs. All right. So as I was thinking through leadership and what it is that leaders do, there was something that kept coming back to me on exceptional leaders do certain things very well. And so I wrote this down that says, you define your leadership by how you know, understand, empathize, empower, and clear obstacles for your people. And I think there are a couple different lessons of why I said it the way I did. One, you define your leadership style. Like, it's not anyone else. It is you, which is awesome. It means that you have control over how you are as a leader. And so hopefully that's encouraging and empowering to you. But knowing that everything you do is about how you treat your people. Do you know them? Do you understand them? Can you empathize with them? Do you empower them? And finally, do you clear obstacles for them? And if you can do those things, then you have defined your leadership ability to be exceptional. And so I would ask you to write those down, think through how am I doing on each of those, and what area do you think you could improve on in working through those. And so as we keep going through the leadership, let me help you with a couple different things that you can work on. One, what type of training plans do you have for your teammates? And how are you thinking through the people that you're supervising in their training plan? And so that's not something that they need to do daily. It may not be something they need to do weekly, but at least monthly. And a 6-month training plan is critical. It is something that you can create the long-term development process for. And remember, your job is to think forward, to think through all the things that are going to be done. And so that 6 month to 2 years is really where you're focused on everything. So what am I doing now that is training my people for 6 months from now? And so developing that plan and working through. And as you're executing that plan, you're thinking through the next 6 months, and you're sort of eyeing out a year and beyond. What is it that we think we can do? Developing a training plan 2 years out probably is not what you want to do. There may be some jobs that you can do that if you're like acquisitions or something. But most people don't have the ability to conceive a 2-year training plan. So that's why I usually stick with 6 months. I think that works the best. The next is, what type of continual education are you doing? And so training plans and education are different. And so the continual education are, what is it that we're going through right now? And what is it that I'm seeing in the next 2 to 4 to 6 months that we need to be reading up on and getting a little bit smarter on. So when I'm making my day-to-day decisions, those decisions are a little bit more educated, a little bit more thought through. And if I can do that, then I'm just putting people in a better position to make great calls and plays. Once you have finished a training plan and continual education plan, the next thing you need to do is go back and look at your staff. And you need to make sure, sometimes in a larger staff, you can get lost on people. And I know we talked about this a little while ago, is my boss would go and put up everyone's name, that they would know the family, that they would know everything about it. And that's really important for the boss, but it is also very important for the lower level leaders as well. And so if you have in a military organization a commander who is much higher in rank and expectation, even when you're a lieutenant or a technical sergeant in the Air Force, or that senior NCO level, team lead level, it's important for you to know the people as well, and not just know your people, but knowing everyone that you're working around. So the first part is you want to know their name, and that takes time and it takes effort to go around and learn people's names, and maybe not in a small organization, but in a large one. But then you want to know, what is it this person wants to do with their life? What are their goals and ambitions? And that can be critical, because you sit down to talk to somebody for lunch and you want to be able to have a conversation that shows that you're interested in people. And so if you sit down and say, hey, Mary, I heard you were wanting to go and do a podcast. How's that going? Who are you talking to? Tell me about what you're discussing right now. And that builds confidence, and that builds rapport, and that builds relationship. And even though you may not be that person's leader, you are leading them, and now you have built trust and responsibility through that. And so make sure that you're getting to know your people and knowing what they enjoy, what they like, and what they're about, and walk through that with them. For your specific people, it's also important that you know, what are their glass ceilings. And so we always say, hey, we want to break through glass ceilings, and there are definitely times we want to do that. But there are also understanding of glass ceilings of your subordinates, so that you don't try to put them in a position that they're not ready for. And breaking through glass ceilings has to be done sometimes. But the better idea is to remove the glass. And you do that by your training plans and your continuing education. Knowing what your subordinates' limitations are and what are the things that are stopping them is important, and to be able to work through. I will tell you that some people know others' names a whole lot better. And for me personally, I am much better with people's faces than names. In the military, there were so many times that I didn't know people's names. I knew their call sign, or I knew what they went by, or initials, or different things. But it took me time to stop and to think through and to remember names. But that's important. Don't ever stop trying to do that. And I was told a story one time, and it made me laugh because I thought it was funny, but the more I thought about it, the worse it was. This person would literally call, and this was in education, they had a graduate assistant, they called their graduate assistant, "Hey you." And that was it. And literally would say, well, they're just a graduate assistant, I don't need to know their name. I'll just call them "Hey you." How poor of a leader is that? Like, they acknowledged the fact that they didn't know, but they said that they're not important enough to know their name. And I thought it was extremely honest to a point, but don't ever be that person. Be the person that is encouraging, that wants to build someone up, that wants to work through it. And even if you're not great at knowing names like me, try to take the time to do that. It will change everything in a culture. It'll change everything in relationships, and it will move things forward. So highly encourage that. When you become a leader, even at the lowest level, I highly encourage you develop awards to give out. And that is something that brings everyone together. It's such a powerful tool, and it's something that you as the leader can say, I value not only you, but what you have done and accomplished. And developing that within your team is so important. And then let that be something that you do. So I am going to recognize this person, and I am going to give it to this person. And so if you end up allowing other people to give that out, it can either turn into a popularity contest, or it minimizes the impact of when the boss does it. When the boss does it, everybody stops and thinks, "Hey, this is good." So I think that's important. Make sure that you give some type of staff awards. Now that's different than the major quarterly or annual awards that you do, and those are big, and you should make them. I think cost $20 to sketch up a plaque for somebody, and $20 to make their day is well worth it, and something that they can put up in their office, a quarterly award winner. And that really signifies something, especially when you put their name on it. Wow. All right. Now we're encouraging people. Now people are feeling like what they're doing is important, and it's being recognized. And if that doesn't want to come from the leader, then that's great. Have it from a team of the senior staff recognizes that. That's fantastic. Don't make it everyone gets a vote on it. That, again, becomes a popularity contest, and it sort of minimizes the effect. But have leadership choosing that. That's a big deal. Okay, so you know your people. You know what they can do. You know what they need to be able to do to expand on their career. You've recognized them in front of their peers from the command level or the top level. Those are all really, really important. The next thing you need to do is think, what's my 5-year plan for this individual? And even if the person's not going to be here in 5 years, you still want to be able to develop that person. And what is it that they're going to want to do? And it's important to know that glass ceiling, right? And have a training plan and an education plan to help them get past that ceiling. But know, hey, in 5 years, it's realistic that they would want to be doing this. And then start developing the person to do that. Give them jobs to do that. If they're developing to be the lead of an organization, if they've been in for a while, when you're out of your staff meeting, have that person sit down in it and run the staff meeting. You are now developing them. Not only are you empowering them because everybody realizes that this person gets an opportunity, but you're giving them the experience to run it. Sit down, say, okay, tell me what agenda you would want. All right, put that out. Then tell me how the meeting went and let me see the summary report of how it went. And so develop them and put them in roles that lead to that 5-year plan so that they are ready to do that when they go. All right. The last thing a very good leader does is they develop their own exit strategy. And so they need to be able to walk away with no mission lost. And, I had this conversation with Mark Foster, and you'll hear this coming up on Tuesday, is what's the exit strategy? What's going to happen when I leave? Eventually, all of us are going to leave. That's going to happen. And how you develop your organization to handle that is so critical, because hopefully the organization succeeds and even increases when you're gone. That's how you know you are an effective leader. And I've heard the different levels of leadership and the 5 levels of leadership. And a level 5 leader is someone who has set an organization up to succeed when they're gone. And we see those extremely charismatic level 4 leaders who just take an organization and it rockets under their control, and then they leave and it just flounders and it falls apart. And the short-sighted leader says, oh, I was so good, they can't do it without me. And the long-term leader says, man, I really developed people and they came through, and it's still going today. And it's going even stronger. We've put it in a great position. And so I just highly encourage you to think, what is my exit strategy? How do I develop that? Because even if you're not going to leave the company, hopefully you're going to continue to progress to that next level. Well, you need someone to be able to come in and run the level that you're at now. And so that's just as important as an exit strategy. So all of those things are about leadership, about leading people. Managers in the same vein, they need to be able to put processes in place that programs continue to run just as well or better when you're gone, but it's different. It's just a different mindset, and maybe one day we'll walk through what is a manager and what are the things like today, but for managers, and I think that would be an interesting view. All right. Hopefully you have gotten a lot out of today. Very excited to continue to do these. I'm even more excited about the interviews. I think that they're exceptional, and I have learned so much from them already. So, well, y'all have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy it, and until next time, this is TUC0's Wright checking off.